Hello and welcome to the Rose Rehash. That's right. After every episode of Bachelor in Paradise, we come here, we go over the big story, we give out superlatives, we give out awards, and I take your audience questions at the end. If you want to ask your question, tag me at Jared Freid in the comments, and we'll get your question on the board for the end of the show. Also, if you're in the New York City area, I'm going to be at Gotham Comedy Club Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Friday and Saturday shows are sold out. Thursday night show has tickets available. Go to jaredfreid.com for tickets. Also, going to be in Vegas and Austin and Boston. So, jaredfreid.com for tickets, jaredfreid.com for tickets. But most importantly, make sure you comment. Let me know what you think about tonight's episode. Make sure you put your questions in, like, subscribe to the channel. The big theme tonight, to me, was saving face. It is an interesting thing on The Bachelor where the contestants are very much aware of how important it is to leave the show on a good note. It's very difficult to do. My favorite example of this is Tyler C. Tyler C. is the gorgeous model who was on Hannah Brown's season. And Tyler C. tells Hannah Brown he's into her, he's ready to commit, and she turns him down. Now Tyler is a guy who wants to commit, is hot, and gets to go out into the world as a guy who wanted to commit and is hot. And everyone loves him. He's never done wrong by the audience. And the people that are on Bachelor in Paradise, you can tell they need to get off the show with the audience loving them. The big story from tonight was Brendan and Piper. Brendan and Piper, they basically tried to game the system. And Natasha figured them out. Natasha asked the right questions, got to the bottom of it, and now last episode they kicked off Chris and Elena, and Natasha's sitting there being like, what these two did, Brendan and Piper, is worse than Chris and Elena. Why aren't we kicking them out? And the whole group says, well, you know, people kind of like them, and they got friends here on the beach, and no one really liked Chris, and that's why it was easy to get rid of him. So Natasha's saying, let's move on them. Let me tell you guys what's going on, because he told me that they didn't really know each other. They only went out on 2 dates, and it turned into 12 dates, and now the group has to kind of eat it. And the group has to and they come together to form this mob to go take out Brendan and Piper. And it was very interesting. When they go to confront Brendan and Piper, you could see they weren't going to relent. They weren't going to let a storyline, they weren't going to admit to a storyline where they were the bad actors, where they were the bad guys. And they even said, and the whole group is looking at him going, so are you going to leave Paradise? And he said, that is not up to you guys to decide. And you could see everyone kind of angling for a position here. And Brendan and Piper, even on their way out, they said, we're leaving on our own terms. And it's like, are you guys insane? You're not leaving on your own terms. They're holding pitchforks and torches as you walk up the stairs towards your SUV to leave the island. This is crazy. And you see it along the way with the other people, Demi and Jasenia. Demi and Jasenia trying to get in on Natasha's argument. Natasha has a good argument. Natasha's argument is, I was manipulated to keep you here until your girlfriend got here. I lost time on this beach. I did not get to speak to other men because of the time you took from me. Natasha's right. But then you look at Demi and you look at Jasenia, and Jasenia's like, I was a pawn. No, you weren't. You left Ivan at the drop of a dime to go hang with Chris, and then he left you. And yeah, he did it in a not great way, but it's not that different than what you did to Ivan. Then you have, Demi, who's sitting there going, you two took up spots that could have been other people. That's a little too far down the line in blame for me. To me, Natasha, yes, took up her time. That is a 1-for-1 exchange. Her time was monopolized by Brendan. She didn't get to meet other people. For Demi to sit there and go, well, I was out of options. Demi, you banged Kenny in 4 minutes. You had some options. You talked to some guys. It didn't work out. It is not Brendan and Piper's fault. And she's trying to make it into that. You could see she sees that she's going to go home. I got to save face. I got to show that I was wronged. The most explicit example of this was Tammy. Tammy was with Aaron, and they were good. They seemed good. They seemed good to go. Then Thomas shows up. Tammy decides, I'm going to make out with Thomas before I even talk to Aaron about breaking up with him. So she makes out with Thomas on a daybed within viewing of Aaron. Then Thomas decides, I'm going to go on a date with Becca, and leaves Tammy as soon as that opportunity comes up. And now Tammy's sitting there looking at Thomas going, but you're my best friend. She said, she legitimately looked at Thomas and said, you're my best friend. They met at the most a week ago. That's your best friend? Tammy, it seems like you're trying to make this into a more dramatic ending so that we all come to your aid. How could he do that to you? To me, Thomas is playing the game as much as you played it with Aaron. Thomas got asked on a date. He went on the date. He said, no, I like Becca. I think we're a better connection. Now, we can all look back at Thomas's history and go, he doesn't seem like a honest guy, but he's playing within the way the game is supposed to be played, as they just told Brendan and Piper. So for Tammy to look at Thomas and be like, you're my best friend, why are you choosing her over me? And it's like, it's not about her over you. It's about a connection. And Tammy, why are you making this more important than it had to be? You could even see Tammy brings the cupcake in. How could he do this on my birthday? And it's like, why are we trying to save face? Yeah, I do understand. When you make yourself vulnerable, you tell someone you like them, and you get turned down, that hurts. That's going to sting a bit. But the idea that Tammy is doing what a lot of people on this show do is they try to take someone, make them the bad person, and then to gain some sort of audience approval in their DMs where people go, yeah, no, how could he do that to you? You are the queen of all earth. And it's like, that's not what's going to happen, Tammy. We watched it all. That's how it went down. It's okay. We'll move on. And maybe you should find your real best friends and hang out with them and feel better. Let's give out some superlatives. The first superlative is class. We'll do class clown to start. My class clown are the guest hosts. I think the whole guest host thing is over. Titus was fun. He comes on. He sings when he talks. I like Titus. Lil Jon came on. He's screaming. He's great. But I don't know what purpose they serve. If anything, there's 4 seconds of like, whoa, Lil Jon with the Bachelor people. And that's really it. Even when Lil Jon went with Tia and Blake on their date, I that could have been Wells. It could have been Wells. And that brings us to the host with the most. Do we have host with the most? So host with the most is there we go. Is Wells. Wells got the audition that he deserved tonight, and he nailed it. He had this whole moment where he talked about how people are lying, and he gave the rose, which I called the pity rose, to Natasha to give her one last chance to meet someone new. I think Wells is necessary on this show. Wells should be the host of the show. Get rid of the guest host. They don't add anything, and we need Wells to be more empowered. We need Wells to be on the beach asking the tough questions of Brendan and Piper, not Joe leading a militia as if Grocer Joe is going to tell people about followings and how they shouldn't be looking for it. Grocer Joe got a following by accident, so he gets to hang on a high horse. No, I wanted Wells in that position, and Wells handled the Pity Rose situation great. I want more Wells. Let's go to the couple of the night, Marissa and Riley. My God, Marissa and Riley have brought sex appeal to this island that we haven't seen yet. Here's why I like Marissa and Riley. They go off, they do their own thing, they're going to hook up, they go to the boom boom room. Everyone else on the beach acts like a 7th grader. They're like, where are they? Where's Marissa and Riley? They've been gone a long time. Why don't you mind your own business? Why don't you worry about your own thing? Why don't you go be an adult with your couple the way that Marissa and Riley are being adults? Love Marissa and Riley. The last one is going to be our most eligible. Natasha. Natasha's the most eligible, but I don't like what the other people on the island are doing to her. They do this thing to Natasha that's really annoying. They're like cheering for her. Dr. Joe gets there and they're like, "Go, Natasha! We love you!" It's like, okay, she's not a Make-A-Wish kid. She's going to be fine. Natasha's hot and gorgeous and fun. She doesn't need you cheering her on. Also, what if she doesn't like Dr. Joe? Now she's going to explain to you what happened. You found someone, you're good? It's like, no, this isn't going to like be organized in your. It feels like the other people on the beach are like looking for Natasha to like fit into some organized case so that they feel better for her. Natasha's going to be just fine. And you're only making it harder when you're like, go, we want the best for you. Yeah, why don't you want the best for yourself? Let's give out let's do the batches. The batches is where I give out coconuts to my least favorite characters, or to my most favorite, coconuts to my favorites, and crabs to my least favorite. Okay, let's start with the crabs. First crab is going to go to Tammy.
Ouch.
Tammy, you met a guy 6 hours ago, and he dumps you, and you tell him he's your best friend as one last-ditch effort to make him feel guilty about dumping you. That's what you did. You're my best friend. What's his middle name, Tammy? Do you know his middle name? You don't? What's his mom's name? Where's he from? What high school did he go to? It's not your best friend. Stop it, Tammy. That was a tactic. That was a maneuver. You knew what you're doing. It didn't work. The next crab is going to go to Brendan.
Ow!
Brendan sticking to this storyline that nobody else would have gone with Natasha is a bad look. Brendan, you don't know. You didn't give Natasha a chance to go meet anyone else. So for you to be the person, what do you think? Because you're hot and you got some abs, you can tell people you can see the future for them and their love lives? No, Natasha could have been talking to other people and you took up her time. And we remember, you gave her a smooch on the cheek and you were like, yeah, we're just hanging. You wasted her time. Don't act like you knew what was best for her. The last crab is going to go to Kendall. Kendall, what are we doing, honey? You're on the beach watching your ex. It ended 1.5 years ago. It's over. So I know it's hard to watch your ex, but maybe don't sit on the beach for 20 minutes while he's confessing his love to his new girlfriend, staring at him. Maybe go to the bar, hang with Wells. Why are you just sitting there? And you're next to the guy that is trying to be with you, and he's like, should I kiss her now? She seems like and then Ivan, I felt for Ivan because he's just looking to take attention away from your ex and bring it onto him. So he's like, why don't we make out? And she's like, this is not the time. And it's like, then maybe you should go up to the bar. Maybe you should remove yourself from this situation instead of sitting here taking it like you're going through, this like you're putting yourself through this mental anguish that you don't have to go through by staring at your ex. Let's give out some coconuts. First one is Natasha. Natasha's fantastic. I love the way she's going through the show. She got the whole group mobilized. She got them to take down Brendan and Piper. She also made a point to kind of separate herself from Jasenia and from Demi, who were kind of trying to like angle into her position. And then she gets to go on a date with Joe. The Joe date was kind of a flop because Joe happens to be good friends with Brendan, which, boy, these producers are good. And you know what? You could see Joe was kind of out towards the end when he realized that he'd be kind of entering into an uncomfortable thing with a friend. But Natasha stayed true to herself. I loved her on the date. I thought she was great, fun, awesome. She's going to be fine. The next coconut is going to go to Tia. Tia has so many ways of describing her lady parts that it's unbelievable. Tonight she described her vagina as dancing, which I've never heard that before, but it seemed to work. And she did look like someone whose vagina was dancing. So good for Tia. She seems to have found a guy in Blake that she is very attracted to. She didn't seem to even care about anything he said. She was just totally into him from minute one. So good for Tia. The last coconut is going to go to whipped cream. Whipped cream. We thought you were for high schoolers. We thought you were not really a sexual item, maybe the punchline of sexual items. And on tonight's episode, Marissa brings out a bowl of cards, and the cards are different body parts. And Riley would pull the body part and then get to lick the whipped cream off of that body part. I have to say, maybe this is the comeback for whipped cream in the sexual space, because it had been a punchline. It was one of those things, who wants to make a mess? And then you watch Riley and Marissa do it, and you're like, am I hard right now? Am I into this? Is whipped cream back as a sexual item? I think you are, whipped cream. Let's go to some questions. No questions. That's tonight's episode. Back next week. Boom.